What is up? And welcome to another episode of Worship Based Coffee, the podcast. I am Jay Soleil, your host. Welcome in. Thank you for joining. We're on episode number nine. Any of you hardcore Beatle fans will know what I was doing out there. If not, you'll have to look it up. Anyway, episode 9 is on the books. And today I've got a good friend of mine, another guy that I met online, and we just had gear questions for each other and chatted back and forth all the time. His name is Josh Summers. And Josh and I have actually been following each other for a pretty good time. I think both of us somehow, I want to say it was like both of us had posted some stuff about Fender Mustang basses, and then we kind of found each other. And so anyway, let's get to it. Hey, Josh, what's up?
What's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Welcome to the official Worship Based Coffee podcast. I've got my first in there. So
All
welcome
good.
aboard.
I'll see your and raise you some ums. How about that?
Exactly. So how's your day? How's your day been today?
Today was pretty
for a Monday.
Actually, you know what? For a Monday, doing pretty good. So woke up, took the kids to school, did a little workout, and then just dove into work. And now I'm capping it off on the Worship Based Coffee podcast.
I
Can't
love
complain.
it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Work was a little bit crazy for me today. As anybody who doesn't know, I'm a substation electrician for the utility company. And we have these, they're called a unit sub. So it's like an entire substation into a very small thing. And today we went out there because over the weekend it tripped out. So people were out of power. So they did some switching and were able to get people back on. But went over there and we're trying to figure out what the heck happened. How come? Turns out that a possum had climbed up inside it, and possums touching two electrical objects at the same time doesn't go over so well. So,
well, is it alive still, that possum?
No, definitely deceased.
So fun fact, there's a lady in Kentucky who has experience reviving raccoons. You should look this up. Anyway, it's too bad she wasn't on site because she could have brought that puppy back to life.
Well, this would have been pretty amazing because not only did it got hit with about 4,000 volts of electricity. So probably not surviving that. But then also like the trough that it was in, it had fallen down in, and there was probably about that much water. So I was like, pretty bad double death there, electrocuted and then drowned if it was still alive. So poor thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what we spent our whole day, was trying to work on that and get that back to normal.
Here's what I took from that story is if you live in the greater Nashville area and you're having issues with your power, just slide into Jay's DMs and let him know.
No, because I'm not a lineman for the county. I'm just a substation guy.
Oh, yeah.
So
no, that's not my responsibility. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
I just fish out the double dead possums.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyway, one of the things I like to always start off with is to just kind of let you share for a minute, like what it is that you do for a living. You know, what's your Monday through Friday?
Yeah. So this is where this podcast is going to turn into the most riveting thing you've ever heard. Or this will be a fantastic thing to listen to if you're having problems going to sleep at night. So I'm the director of sales enablement and training for a geotextile and geotechnical civil engineering company. So for those of you that are still awake, what that means is that, you're like, what the heck is that? So basically, I work for a small company based in Alpharetta, Georgia, and I work from home. So my Monday through Friday is basically me at the house. And what I do is I evaluate the organization for certain deficiencies or opportunities to improve. And then I'll develop some sort of training and make everybody better. So I try to make the wheel rounder
Nice.
in certain ways.
What? So you're just working in that kind of development as far as area is is that what your company does for other companies, or is it just specifically what you do for your company?
Yeah, so it's what I do specifically for my company. The company is actually kind of an interesting organization. We're really an intellectual property and technology company, and what we do is pretty niche. So uh, we do landfill closures and CCR or utility industrial site closures where they have like piles of ash. So the EPA has regulated the what an appropriate closure looks like, and our founders were sitting around one day just lamenting the prescribed EPA closure, saying, "Look, this doesn't work very well." And what they discovered is that there's a subparagraph to the prescribed close that says, hey, by the way, if you can make something up that meets or beats what we're recommending, knock yourself out. And so that's what we do.
Okay.
And
Nice.
so when a landfill reaches its end of life, we'll come in and we'll bring our product, which is called closure turf, to it. And the same thing in the utility space. So there's actually a site that's close to you in Paducah, Kentucky, and
Okay.
we've got some work there. And so, I mean, I never thought that I would end up doing what I do. But that's what you get with a psychology degree. So
It's
here I
amazing.
am. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting because I work for a utility company, obviously, and sometimes we have uh like especially the area that I work in, a substation will be converted. All the stuff will be upgraded and converted to something new. So, and when that happens, that substation is no longer needed anymore. And so I'm wondering if maybe there's even like a local company that's kind of similar to that, that kind of does something on that end for, because I know a couple of ours have been taken and they've come in and built houses. They've
Yeah.
people have bought it and then come in and they've, you know, uh, obviously got the uh, property ready to be able to build, something on it. So I'm sure
Yeah.
there's probably some relation to that.
Yeah. You never know. I mean, typically, if you're a utility company or any business and you have a property and it's come to the end of its life and you're closing it down, depending on what you did on that property, you're always looking for, hey, what's the beneficial use like after this is closed? Like, what can I do? Can I sell
Yeah.
it as real estate? And in our case, where we're dealing with municipal solid waste or hazardous waste
Hmm.
or even like ash, um, there's not a whole lot of uses that you can get out of it, but that's why our company exists. Like we developed
Okay.
a product called Power Cap, which is basically a racking system that enables you to put um, solar panel modules on top of our product without penetrating the protective layer. I'm really
Hmm.
geeking out, getting in the
Oh
weeds here,
no, that's
but
cool though.
it's fantastic because you can take basically a brown space, like this
Yeah.
unusable eyesore that the community hated, and then turn it
Turn it.
into this
Yeah.
beautiful green space that's producing solar electricity
Yeah.
for the community. So,
That's
and
awesome.
and I don't do any of that. I just train the people that sell it.
Hey, that's still cool. There needs to be somebody for every part of
Yeah, and
that.
actually,
So,
it's funny because I was thinking about this. I've thought about this a lot, and I'm like, it's, it doesn't surprise me that as a bass player who is really kind of a supporting role, but looking to just fill gaps and service
right.
the song,
That's right.
it's kind of what I do in my professional life is I'm like, where are the gaps and where can I close that to make us a little bit better?
Nice. I love that. It's
Nice
a
pivot,
great
right?
analogy
Yeah.
there. So, now that we've established that, which there's no way that I would even be able to be able to explain to anybody else other than,
My wife calls
but
me
I,
like a transponster, like Chandler Bing. Like, what does he do? I'm
nice.
like, nobody
Well,
knows.
yeah. Hey, let me just tell you, the only reason that my wife knows what I do is because typically I will send her a selfie from up, you know, 30 foot up in the air inside of a bucket truck. And I'll like
Nice.
send her a selfie saying, "This is what your husband's up to today. Pray for him."
Question of the day: did she get a selfie of you and a dead possum today?
No, she did not. I
That
was
was a
trying to
missed
keep her.
opportunity.
Yeah. I'm sure she would have been like, "What the heck is this?"
Another day on the job.
Exactly. So I'm just curious, like, obviously, besides which I know we'll get into this, but like your music journey, just kind of how that whole thing started. Like, at what point in your life?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it started fairly early. Um, when I was in fourth grade, back when elementary schools had music programs complete with like an instructor and all that
The
stuff.
little whistle.
It was not a whistle. Uh, it was a four-stringed instrument, but not the bass.
Nice.
Yeah, so it was. I started learning on violin. I don't know what this says about me as a person, but like in the late '80s when everybody was rocking out to like Whitesnake or something, I was like, "Have you heard this Shostakovich record? It'll bum you out in ways that feel so good." And so
That's
I really
amazing.
loved orchestra music. Started playing violin when I was in fourth grade, and
That's
continued
awesome.
that to a certain point and to about middle school. And at that point, I fell in love with the big guitar, which was interesting. Of all places,
Yeah.
it was at our church. So
Nice.
yeah, so I was in Sacramento, California, where I was born and raised, and our church, First Covenant Church in Sacramento, we had the most fire praise and worship band. And I say that now, and I think it still holds true. So, are you familiar with
That's
the band
awesome.
Cake?
Yes.
Okay, so Cake is also from Sacramento. Has nothing to do with Cake, but we
Right.
had some horns. So I don't know if you've ever
Oh,
heard like Lord, I Lift Your Name on High with a
with
sax
horn.
solo, but it will
Oh, that's
change your
sick.
life. Anyway, so I was like a
I love that.
starry-eyed little seventh grader or eighth grader, and I was like, this band is awesome. And then, sitting behind the brassy B flats was like this dude playing this bass, and I was like, man, I chose the wrong instrument. Like I'm sitting out here playing the saddest song ever. Meanwhile, I could be rocking with these guys. So,
Right.
so that's when I started developing. I started listening and was like, man, the bass is really the foundation. I love this instrument.
And what's interesting too for you, it must have been because I know that like the violin is basically like flopped of the bass. In other
It
words,
is
opposite, you know.
similar, but exactly the opposite. Yes,
Yeah. So instead of EADG, it's GA or
GDA,
GDAE. So
correct.
the only reason I know this is because my daughter actually plays violin. Uh,
Good for
and
you.
she has been in the Suzuki program since she was like, I don't know, 5, I think it is. So, and she's 18 now. So
So she's just
she's great.
wailing. She's like, look,
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
do this, and you're like,
She
do
knows
it.
way more about music than I could hope to know about music. Like as far as, you know, I mean, it's insane like that Suzuki. If I'm highly like to anybody who's wanting to get their kids involved and the
Put the link
Suzuki
down
method.
below. Yeah, you're
Yes,
good.
I'll put Suzuki method. It's incredible because it's a obviously Japanese guy based on the last name. You probably figured that out. Uh, but his whole idea was that he called it the mother tongue theory. And what that is, as a baby, you don't start reading. What do? You listen to your mother's voice, you listen to your father's voice, and then you mimic that. And so his thought was that is how you need to learn as a child, is to train your ear so much that you can speak before you can read. And so as
Apparently, I've been following the Suzuki method on bass.
it's brilliant. So like it was so crazy to the point to where he could have all the kids turn their backs and he could play a note, and the first one would raise their hand and he'd go, name it, and they could say what note it was. I mean, just by listening. It was insane. And
Dude,
this is like, and he Suzuki also believed that he didn't believe in prodigies. I mean, not that there are people who are exceptionally gifted, but he believed that anybody can kind of like put in the work and become like that, become
yeah.
gifted. And so it's really really interesting. And anyway, sorry for the little tangent there.
No, and your daughter's been
But
doing it for like ever.
yeah, so, and she loves it. Like there's plus her teachers had me a few times. I have an upright bass, and so occasionally he'll do, of course, because we're in Nashville, have to do some bluegrass songs. So can't do all classic. So he like splits it up. He'll have like half classical pieces, half bluegrass pieces. And so he's had me a few times at some of their recitals hop up on my upright bass and play some. So it's been cool to get to play with my daughter, like that.
Yeah.
So, which is neat. So
Yeah. I mean, you almost have to go like, "Fuck, I'm in this and I'm enjoying this for my daughter. I'm not going to let the fact that this Suzuki method, who's like very specific about ear training, is going
yeah,
to be listening to what I'm doing
right.
because they're probably going to hate it."
Yeah, exactly. So funny. Well, so let's get back. So you saw the guy and he's chilling back there playing the bass, and you're like, dude looks cool. I want to be cool like that. So
100%. And so what I did was, at the time, my stepmom worked at that church as the music director's assistant. And I was like, hey, ask him if he will teach me, like, give me some lessons.
that's awesome.
It will really make just everything so much better. And so she was like, I asked him, and he said, absolutely not. I'm not doing that. And I was like,
What?
come on, man, that sucks. So,
You just crushed my dreams.
yeah, it's like, crack. So then what I did, I was like, fine, I'll blaze my own trail. How hard can it be, right?
Right. It's four strings.
And so I was like, mom, this guy said no. And so she bought me this little pawn shop bass. You and I have very different stories, right? So like, you're like, oh, I think I'm going to play bass. And they're like, oh, here's this pre-CBS era, like vintage Mustang bass for you to just tool around on.
Right.
Meanwhile, I've got like this $40 thing. I think the brand was Cruise. Anyway,
Okay.
yeah, you're like, oh yeah, I've heard of that. No, yeah,
Dude, back then I could have been handed a Cruise or that Mustang, and I would not have known the difference at the time.
I didn't care. I mean, now I look at it, I'm like,
Yeah.
it's kind of like a weird, like, it almost looks like a Jackson, but it's a short scale.
Nice.
And I was like, you know what? I freaking love this bass. And me and my
That's
brother
awesome.
would just go down. My brother lived in Mississippi, and I'd fly out, and
Okay.
we'd hang out down in the basement. He's a drummer. He's a fantastic drummer.
Amazing.
And so he would just start playing something, and I would just thump away. I mean, the early days, probably pretty messy, a lot of smoke on the water going on there,
Right? Heck yeah.
But
Learn
I
some of
was like,
the easy tunes.
yeah, but I was like, I'm figuring it out. It's the violin, but in reverse, and
Right.
not that hard. And I loved it. And then when I was a freshman in high school back in California, I started going to school, and they actually had a bass guitar class. And I was
Oh,
like,
amazing.
fantastic. I'll sign up for that. And it wasn't like music theory or anything. It actually, what it was the trumpet player for Alice Cooper, who had washed out and become a music teacher. Um, and I was like, trumpet player for Alice Cooper. I think I'm gonna have to. We don't have the internet yet because it's the
Right.
early '90s, but I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
fact check you at some point.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's what he told us, and so I just learned scales, and we would show up there for an hour, and so every day I would just play music on bass. At that
That's
point, I had
awesome.
pivoted away from my pawn shop bass, and I had a Squire jazz bass, which you can't sleep on Squires. Like,
No, you
they
can't.
make some decent. I mean, I know I'm talking to somebody who's got a lot of like Ferrari level basses, but believe it or not, Squire makes a good one. And the one that I had, I
Yes.
think, was like a Japanese jazz bass, and it was fantastic.
Japanese, I think, make the best. I mean, like that. If somebody said, "Okay, hey," besides, like, obviously, I would love to encourage everybody all the time to buy a Paleo bass. But if you had, like, say, about, I don't know, you can get them around like $1,500, and you're just like, I want to get a good P bass or jazz bass. Man, I would say go on Reverb and look for an MIJ, because those are
Totally.
just they're just great
Yeah.
basses. It's
Yeah.
so I'm always like pro made in Japan.
Yeah. You see that MIJ, and you're like, that
Yes,
thing is awesome.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So what else after excuse me. After that, where was your next, where were you heading next, I should say, as far
In my
as your
musical
career?
journey,
Yeah.
well, it was so just got the high school group at that same church with Mr. Rejection guy. The high school group had a worship band, and
Nice.
so they're like, "You play bass?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, sure I do. I mean, I have a bass." And so they were just like, cool. And it was just a lot of fun. So I'd go and, um, for a youth group, just
Nice.
play on stuff. And the guy who was like the leader is a guy named Glenn. And he was kind of like, I mean, he was older. Uh, and so he was like, dude, this Ibanez is the coolest thing ever.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, I'm not brand shaming, but like, I'm trying to like paint a picture where he was like, he loved like hair metal
Oh
bands and
yeah,
all that
heck yeah.
stuff. And he's like, we're just going to rock this. And I was like,
Heck yeah.
cool, dude. And so just hanging. So just usually, I mean, through like high school, that was my thing. I was just playing at church,
That's
for
awesome.
the high school groups.
So was
Um,
that, would you say, other than with jamming with your brother, that was probably your first like kind of organized
but yeah,
experience?
yeah. And it
That's
wasn't
awesome.
anything like, it wasn't anything sexy. It was just
Sure.
like, it was like, I
Yeah.
mean, although now that I think about it, I'm like, I had a Fender like 810 cabinet at the church, at the
That's
youth group.
incredible.
And I forgot all about it until just now. I was like, wait, did
That's
I just say
amazing.
that this wasn't really like that big of a deal? But now I'm like, oh no, dude, we had the refrigerator. Now it's like
That's
inner monitors. I'm like,
Yeah, I know.
give me the
Dude,
810,
that's
man.
like standing in front of and your pants rumble and
Oh yeah. If anything would have like solidified my love for the instrument, it's being a, 15-year-old sitting in front of a 810 cab
heck yeah.
and just being like, all right, we're
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
it,
amazing.
And then when we moved around a bit and ended up in Knoxville and got connected with a couple of guys from church that were in a band, and their bass player and their drummer had decided to go to college, and so they asked me and my brother to play, and so
Okay.
played in a Christian rock band here
Nice.
in the Knoxville area. I'm not here, but just a little bit north of me in Knoxville. Um, and then I took a little bit of a bass hiatus because not because I fizzled or anything like that, but
Right.
just kind of life changes. My brother, who was a drummer, had taught me a few things, and then I went to UT and just ran. I didn't even audition, but somehow I was in like the Pride of the Southland marching band as a snare drummer. So it's
That's
just like
amazing.
doing the snare drum situation. And
That's
I
awesome.
just did that for 1 year. I wasn't a music major, but it was just a lot of fun. Um,
That
Going to
must have
football
been a lot of
games.
fun. Did you get to
Oh,
like play in the stadiums and
oh
stuff
yeah.
like that?
Oh,
Oh,
here's the best part. So it's a random story, but like I wasn't planning on doing band or anything like that. And before college, I had done some drum and bugle corps stuff. I don't know if you're familiar with DCI, but like
okay.
kind of a big deal in terms of like the marching world. Uh,
Okay.
I wasn't a big deal. My brother was, and I was just kind of riding his coattails.
Awesome.
But I can hang. And and so I was in the university center at UT, and this guy like taps me on the shoulder and was like, I turn around and he's like, "Is Jacob Summers your brother?" I was like, "Yes." We apparently look alike. And he goes, "Dude, I've got a spot on the snare line for you." And I'm like, "You didn't even know if I play." And he's like,
I
"You're
play
fine.
the violin.
I play the violin, bro, and kind of some 90s-ish
Bass.
worship bass." Uh, so, uh, but it worked out, and so I did that for about a year, and then took a little break from music just because I was at college and I was like, I just want to do everything. I did a little
Yeah.
like student government stuff, studying that kind of stuff. Then I joined the Marine Corps and was in the Marines for a bit, and it wasn't until about a year or so I hit the fleet that I was in Yuma, Arizona. It was my first duty
Okay.
station, which is not exactly the most glamorous spot, but Yuma, don't sleep on Yuma. Yuma's a great place.
Yeah, I lived in Phoenix for about, I want to say 4 years, so
Okay.
uh not that not that far.
Phoenix is a far cry from Yuma, though.
Well, yeah, I
You're
know as
like,
far as
I was in the booming
area.
metropolis. I'm familiar with Yuma. And I'm like, oh no, if you're in Phoenix, you head south for 3 hours, bang a right at Gila Bend, where the shrimp farms are. And then when you get to the Star Wars looking place, you know you've hit
Yeah.
the right spot.
Well, so I have a little bit of like my dad was in the Air Force, and so he was in for 20 years, so moved all over. So being a military brat, I typically it's so weird how I can walk into a room and sit down and every time sit down right next to the person who was in the military or military brat, and we just immediately just have that, have that connection.
Totally.
But Phoenix, when we were living there, was obviously Wick, because that would have been like 1978, 79, somewhere around there. So obviously not the Phoenix of today.
Right. Uh, so let me just backpedal a little bit.
Okay.
Got it. So yes, Yuma and Phoenix in 1978, probably on par.
Yeah. So go ahead. You were talking about Yuma.
Yeah, so
And yeah.
I had gotten married, and my wife and I found a church
Is
in.
that where you met her? Is
No, I was in Yuma, and then I went
Okay.
to my sister's wedding in Sacramento, and
Okay. And so she was from California too.
She lived in California. Yeah, she's originally
Okay.
from Moldova, which is a small country in Eastern Europe. But
Oh,
they
okay.
immigrated to Sacramento in the early 90s, and she met my
Nice.
sister, and she was at the wedding, and I was like, holy crap. Who is this girl? I
Yes.
need to talk to her. How
That's
can I
amazing.
fool
I
her
love
into
it.
thinking I'm cool?
Well, let me just tell you, I like shared your wife's Instagram page with my wife because I was like, oh, she has I love some of the inspirational stuff that she says on there, and plus just sharing her faith. And and my wife immediately messages me back and she's like, okay, hold up. How is somebody allowed to be this beautiful? Because wow.
I thought you were going to say, how is that guy married to this girl? Which is
Hey,
usually, yeah, they
I get
say
asked
like
that.
people, it's like, who said it? My buddy, Ryan, who lives, I think, close to you, his wife was like, you've got like the howl and wow effect, like, or the wow and howl, like, wow, how? Now I'm literally married to the most fantastic human being on the planet. So I'm very lucky. And we found that church in Yuma. It's called Stonebridge Church, and
Okay.
it was amazing because I had been kind of missing the instrument a little bit, and their worship band was like the most encouraging place. Like, oh, dude, you want to do this? Come on, let's go.
That's
Like
awesome.
their guy who normally played bass is a guy named Mark Flint. And this is one of those guys where you're like, how do you know he's like a Rolodex. Like you go, hey, play this song. And he'd be like, oh, you mean this? Brrr. Like he just knows every single
That's
song
amazing.
ever.
Yeah.
He had like his side hustle. He was in this like bands that played at the casino. And so he had to
Oh,
know like
yeah.
every single song ever made ever. And, but he had a
Yes.
heart of gold, and was always like, dude. And he was the first, like before that, I was never into like P basses because I had never really experienced what it's like to play a real bass. And he goes, oh, bro, just borrow my bass because I was playing some like Washburn 5 string, like
Okay.
whatever. I was like, look,
Nice.
it looks
Just
cool, but it sounded like garbage. And he was like, dude, just play this. I like modded it a little bit, and I played it, and I was like, it
what?
changed my life. I was like, all right, new rule. I'm not buying
Yes.
anything that's not a precision style bass
Right.
ever
That's
again,
amazing.
period.
Yeah.
But I loved we had such a sweet time there. My wife was in the worship band too, so she would sing, and we would go there, and do our thing. We would practice like on Wednesday night or Thursday night, sometime midweek, and then just do the Sunday thing. And that church was led by a pastor named Sam Norris, and you know, for somebody that's been in the Marine Corps for a long time, we've moved into a lot of places, been in a lot of churches. But I'll tell you, it, the blessing that we had, being at a church with a leader like Sam Norris was just unbelievable. I mean, I can't say enough about him. He's the kind of guy that was like we went one Sunday, we visited our first Sunday. The next Sunday, he's like moving bodies. He's like, hey, 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 you guys were here last week and you're here this week. My name is Sam, and I want to get to know you, And we're
That's
like, oh,
amazing.
that's crazy. Like, I love that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like he's just such a humble servant. And whenever we think of like, when somebody goes, hey, give me the name of like, who's like, in your mind, what's like a good pastor look like? There's two names. Sam Norris comes to mind, and then our pastor in Hawaii, who is a really fantastic guy as well, comes to mind. Those guys are just, I've been super blessed to be in
That's
churches like
awesome.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I really do feel like there are definitely certain pastors that are their gift is that shepherd
Yeah.
heart, and it's just naturally who they are. It's not something that they're trying to do. Uh And I love that. And I had shared, on the very first episode, that was at a time when I had kind of like quit playing for a little while too, and was getting back in. Uh, Tim Head, the worship director at our church, he kind of took me along and was like, even though here's this guy who's much younger than I am, and he's, I did not know a thing about the Nashville number system, none of that. And he was just like so patient and was like, hey, yeah, come in here, stop by my office and we'll go, and just kind of helped encourage me. And, it's just kind of neat to be able to look back and see all the people like that in your
Yeah,
life that kind of had those little stepping stone moments like that.
totally.
So that's awesome. So you said you were in Hawaii. Was that, were you still in the Marines at that time?
Yeah, so that was our last stop on the tour. When I was in the Marine Corps, stationed in Kaneohe Bay, I was with 3rd Marine Regiment. We went to a church called North Shore Christian Fellowship with the senior pastor is a guy named Mike Stengel, and him and his family. I mean, I wasn't involved in worship there. Just the nature of my role in the Marine Corps didn't allow me time to
Oh,
get
sure.
involved. Um, but again, similar to Sam, Mike and his family were just like the warm hug that you need when you feel
Yeah.
isolated. I mean, when you live in Hawaii, it's like, oh, boo hoo, you feel alone in Hawaii. Good,
Right.
but
Yeah.
it's
I feel
real.
so bad for you.
Yeah, yeah. But I was deployed a lot and I was gone, and
Yeah.
my wife was at home with the 2 kids. All of her
Separated
family's
from
in
both of y'all's.
California. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it could be very alone. And then the Stengel, so Vanessa is Mike's daughter, would be friends with Daniela, and then of course Mike and Karen would just lead their church with such humility. It's just great memories of that, and so it's just a blessing, like I said, to be in different places where I
Right.
can experience that.
That's
And then
awesome.
from Hawaii, we moved to Houston, and that's when I started getting more consistently involved in serving at churches.
Nice. And then when you got out of the Marine Corps, is that when you ended up in California, back in California,
No, so when we
or
got out of
wait,
the
you were
Marine
in
Corps,
Washington State, weren't you?
been
Or I can't
everywhere, man.
remember.
Yeah, so we left Hawaii, we moved to Houston, was in Houston, moved to Washington State, from Washington State to Los Angeles, LA to Northern California, Grass Valley, and then Grass Valley to here.
Okay. Nice. And so was the main well, maybe not main, but was one of the reasons for the move was just the job opportunity, or were you already working for the same company? Just
It was a job opportunity, but not necessarily like the job of my dreams or what I'm currently doing. It was just like a
sure.
vehicle to get here.
Yeah.
I said that I went to college at UT, and my wife and I had always wanted to live in East Tennessee, um, but like it just never really happened for us. And then all of a sudden, this job opportunity in Spirit City, Cleveland, Tennessee, just
Heck
outside of
yeah, Cleveland.
Chattanooga, came up, and I was like, well, I've never heard of Cleveland, but it's 45 minutes from Chattanooga. Like,
Yeah.
if it's that bad, like we'll be fine. But it's a nice little spot, good for family.
Yeah.
Bradley County schools are great schools. I've got 4 kids, and they're thriving.
Cleveland is
So
beautiful to me. My daughter, that's where our church does their camp every year. Is
really,
there?
like at
Yeah.
Ocoee or
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Yep. Coe Ridge, I think is the name of it. So,
Yeah,
but
awesome.
yeah, it's beautiful. I absolutely love it. Uh, that's awesome though. So one of the questions I wanted to ask is, so young Josh Summers, what was like musically something that kind of influenced you? Like what was some of the songs that you were listening to? I know you said for a time there, you were listening to classical stuff, But when you did finally start playing the bass, you're kind of playing with your brother a little bit. What was some of the like that you can think of at the time that you were like
Yeah.
really into?
Yeah, so I've been super into, or I've always been into, like a big Radiohead fan.
Nice.
Yeah, Colin Greenwood,
I
fantastic bass
know.
player. I'm like, yes, great. A big Beatles fan. So for the
Yeah.
longest time, and it was really hard. Like when I lived in California with my stepdad, he was like, if it's not Christian music, you're not listening to it,
Right.
period. Right. So I'm like, all right, let's peel this back. Let's see what I can do. But
Right.
it was hard to find something that I really, really liked. But in Sacramento, I mean, bands like Cake is from Sacramento.
Sure.
Um, eh, Not to go all dark on you, but the Deftones are from Sacramento, and they
Yeah.
just have the Deftones are kind of like the
Yeah.
Radiohead of like the metal world.
Yep.
And I'm not into metal, but I've always just liked them. Some other artists that I really like. I like like right now I like a lot of obscure stuff, but when I was a kid, they're like, my friends are like, dude, have you heard this song? And I'm like, yeah, but have you heard Depeche Mode? Like this record
That's amazing.
is so depressing. It's amazing, right?
That's
Duran
awesome.
Duran, come on.
I
I
know,
liked
but that's
REM.
some
Yeah,
great
like
stuff
just
though.
that kind of stuff was like,
Yeah, it wasn't till like mid to late 90s though that really like the Christian rock stuff started to kind of take off,
yeah.
with some of those bands like when the Newsboys really started kind of getting bigger. I mean,
I'll
and
tell you what, turning point, Jesus Freak, DC Talk.
yeah,
That was
that
like,
you're
here we
exactly
are,
right.
and then it's like, wait a minute,
And it was
like,
here we
what are we
are.
doing? Yeah, and
Because
and I'll
around that time too, like Audio Adrenaline,
yeah,
started, and it was just like, wow, Christian bands can sound rock and roll and sound cool.
yeah, yeah. No, it's fantastic, and I'll tell you eh, that the more, and this is maybe something for if people are listening and they are like I play worship bass on Sundays, but I have a hard time finding bands that I like. Um, I think that the more heart forward you get with your approach to listening to the music and understanding the lyrics and understanding the purpose and intent of the song, I think the more you'll open up and develop a deeper appreciation. And then if you're like me and you're on iTunes and you go down the rabbit hole and they're like, if you like this, maybe check out this. If you like that, maybe check out
Right.
this. There are so many just fantastic spirit-led Christian
Yeah.
artists that are out there. They're not going to
Hmm.
be like, top 10 charts or
Right.
whatever, but who cares about that?
Yeah.
Right?
They're just writing some good stuff.
I've gotten to the point in my life where like my favorite bands are like obscure bands where like I'll show up and it's like me and three other people and we're like, yes. So
I
it
love
doesn't
it.
matter how
Yeah.
popular it is, right? If you're
Yeah.
listening to, hey, what did they actually make here? And what are they
Yeah.
saying? And you can
Hmm.
go like, this is just next level stuff. And so really in my ripe old age here, gray hairs or whatever, I've gotten to the point where I'm like, n- none of the stuff that I cared about as a kid matters anymore. And when I look at
Right.
music now, I've developed such a deep appreciation for,
Yeah.
like, I can find a song, any song. Like, I play at a Baptist church now, and they'll throw some stuff at me, and I'm like, oh, okay, I've never heard this before. But when you listen to it and you're like, what are they actually communicating here? And then you kind of dissect it a little bit from like a musician standpoint, you're like,
Yeah.
this is straight fire. And I love this,
Right.
you
I love
know?
that.
I don't know, I'm geeking
Yeah.
out,
Oh
but that's
no, I
kind of where
love
I'm
it.
at.
Yeah, I love that. So now you're playing at a church. What church is it that you're playing at in
So,
Chattanooga?
I'm actually playing at First Baptist Cleveland. So
Okay.
a while ago, I was playing at Calvary Chapel in Chattanooga, which is a pretty large church. And just had a fantastic experience there. And I don't know how much time you have to hear about it,
Yeah, you're
um,
good.
but um, but basically, my wife and I, one of the complaints that we've had as we've moved around the country a lot is not having a community or like really investing or being able to invest where we're at because we moved really quickly once we got there because jobs and that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And so when we moved here, an old friend from Yuma actually had invited us to Calvary Chapel, and it's a great church. And their music program, I got involved there, and without without offending anybody or whatever, what I'll say is that if there was a recipe for how to do worship on Sunday mornings the right way, they've figured it out. They got the
That's
secret to
awesome.
the sauce. I mean, it is a prayer-led, spirit-led, ego-free environment of just worship
That's
at a
awesome.
level that's excellent. It's led by a guy named Marco and Walter, and those two really have figured it out. Um, but as we were continuing to go to that church, we just kept feeling like we're driving an hour away from our community to go to this church. And what we're missing out on is that community. So even though, um, let's see what's around here. And so we went to, it's like the biggest church in the area. And it's not like we're big church people. If anything, we're
Right.
like, we want like, give us the small church. But we just ended up there and they've welcomed us and there's some great people that go there. The worship director there, Eric Yeldell, it was funny. We went to coffee because I was just like, I just want to get to know you. No like agenda or
Right.
anything. And he's like, oh, you play bass? Fantastic. And then I get like this planning center notification. I'm like, bro,
How did you even get my email?
yeah. So which is which was almost like, okay, this is so I don't know if you know Cleveland, but in Cleveland is Lee University,
Right.
fantastic university.
Yep.
And I tell you, I don't know how many people are in planning center, but 99.9% of them are like, oh, what do you do? And they're like, I'm a professor of music at Lee, or oh, I've just got my PhD in your instrument. And they're like, what do you do? And I'm like, train people and play bass on the side, right? So
Right.
so when he put me in planning
Uh,
center, like I know, like I've seen the bass play before, and I'm like, look, uh, that's amazing. Like I can't do that. I mean, I can, but not like
right.
with the ease in which he. Like I'd
Yeah.
have to go like, let me study like
Yeah.
what he just did for a minute. I don't know that I'd ever
Right.
come up with this on my own, but anyway,
Right.
they're blessed with having some phenomenal musicians, and so it was it's a great experience getting to play with people like that who have like 7 different brains and they're like, oh yeah, dude, we'll play whatever we
So,
want.
you were saying, so you're now you're serving there. I was just curious, like for you, typically you get that notification there for you to serve on a Sunday. Like, what is your like preparation look like as far as like a week? I mean, do
Yeah.
you usually get it like a week out, or is it like, oh, Friday evening, here's your
No, they're actually really good about it. For the past, 5 months or so, so the church in Cleveland has actually expanded with a couple of satellite churches, and one is in Ottawa, which is kind of in between Cleveland and Chattanooga. And so I've been fairly consistently scheduled down in Ottawa, and so like I'm scheduled out for through October, right?
Oh, okay.
So they're really good about it. And so what I'll do is like the week of like today, I'll open up Playing Center. I'll look and see at the song, what the songs are. And the first thing that I'm looking for is, do I recognize any of these songs? Right.
Right. I love how great you put that. Do I know these songs at all?
Right. Because that'll really shape it, right?
Yeah.
So like
Mm-hmm.
if I look at it and I'm like, I know all these except for that one, then it's just a matter of going, all right, what key are we playing it in? Please don't be E flat because that kind of limits some like low end
Yes.
options for me. But I'll
Sure.
just like look at it and go, all right, I know these. And then the ones that I don't know, that's where I go to my little whiteboard here and I'm like, all right,
Nice.
let me unpack this song, right? So borrowing from the Calvary Chapel, you know, and I'm to be honest, like I need to get better at this. But one of the things that they had us do there was like, look, when you open Planning Center, don't listen to the song, read the lyrics. Like read and understand what are we actually singing? What are we
I
saying
love
here?
that.
Because the first thing that we do at rehearsal isn't sound check. It's not
Right.
even prayer. It's let's talk about these lyrics. Like, and this is what they got right. And this is the thing that I think that really kind of shifted my perspective a lot is we would huddle up as a group and be like, all right, guys and gals, what have you been going through this week? And what did you hear as you read through the lyrics? Like what stood
Yeah.
out to you? And it was amazing to hear everybody as they would go around and share, there's always something. And it was always something for me too. Like maybe I was having
Yeah.
a hard week and we're playing this song and it was really like this anthem of encouragement that I would hear. And
That's amazing.
it makes it just changes everything for you because then as you're actually going through the worship, there's a deeper connection to it than just
Yes.
going, let me make sure that I hit that
Right.
5 at the right
Right.
time, right?
Yeah.
Um,
I love that.
yeah, so that was really, really fantastic, and so what I'll do when I have a new song is I'll kinda go through that. I listen to the song, um, I'll listen to it first just to kinda get the vibe of it, then I'll listen to it again and just kinda chart out like, "Alright, here's the changes." I'm listening
Yeah.
for easy things like, you know, if you're is it like an early Hillsong church where, like, the chorus and verse are, like, the same exact notes? Or
Right.
is it like a more complicated situation? Nope, I'm not throwing shade at them. I'm just saying like some of the songs are
Yeah.
like that, right?
Sure.
Um, or is it like we're going into a completely different level? How many bridges are we doing? Is it like bridge 1B, bridge 1C, bridge 1D, repeat?
Refrain.
Right,
Refrain.
exactly.
Refrain.
Instrumental, interlude.
Yeah.
Um, so I'll just kind of get the structure down and then what I'll do is I'll just jump in, which is it. Like you're probably like, all right, from the Suzuki method, you're doing it wrong. Um,
Well, I don't know the Suzuki method.
gotcha.
My daughter does, and so there were plenty of times where I remember I was. Side note here, I remember years ago when I first started joining the Beatles group. I was learning this song, and my daughter happens to be in here, and I have it coming through the speakers, and I'm learning, and I'm playing it, and I'm like, and I stopped it, and I was playing it, and she goes, "No, no, no, it's not da 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 da, it's da 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 da." And I went, really? I was like, don't you have your room to clean or
Yeah,
something like that?
yeah. Where's your
I was
mom
like,
at?
you got to be kidding me. Like breaking my vase. Forget it. I'm done.
Yeah, I'm out. Look, this was a
Yeah.
creative choice. Okay, jeez.
My, you know, 8-year-old daughter showing me up, not even knowing she's doing it. So,
All good.
uh, so great. So you were saying, so you, basically chart everything out and then jump right in.
Yeah, I chart it out, not like notes, but just like just what's the format of this,
Yeah.
and I know people listening to like, bro, in planning center, it's usually charted out for you.
Right.
And I get that, but but it's for me to like, I don't want to just learn like, okay,
Yeah.
generally this is where we're going. Like, I want to know all the structure of it, right?
Right.
Because inevitably what'll happen is, hey, let's take it and let's go another way around, or maybe the singer will like skip a bridge or go on, and I just need to know like what is the format of this and what are the different parts and what's happening.
Yeah.
And then what I'll do is I'll just dive right in, just and playing. And there's a lot of wrong notes and there's a lot of missed things the first time
Sure.
through.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, you ever heard that saying, like, uh, if I had more time, I would have written a shorter letter. It's like that. So
Yeah.
I start with literally everything, and then I just start editing down, and then I'll
Yeah.
get to a point where I'm like, okay, and this is where I'll probably lose you and half of the people.
Nah.
But once I truly understand the song, then what I'll do, like from a musical standpoint, then what I'll do is I'll shift into this mindset of, okay, now that I know what notes I should be playing, um, how could I not play as much as possible? And what I mean by that is anybody can just play straight through the song, right?
Right.
But if you can find moments like, all right, I understand what they're saying. I understand what's happening in the song, where dynamically we're going with it. How can I use my instrument as the bass to just gracefully exit and then come in at the right time later on? That may mean that I need to drop at a certain point. Everybody else has to be on the same page, but
Right.
where are the opportunities for me to
Hmm.
do more than just play notes?
Yeah.
Maybe I can leave and then come back. Maybe I can switch up a different
Yeah.
tone at that point. But what can I do dynamically just to service this song and to service the moment and uh, enable the moment to happen, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that idea. Especially in on one of the last podcasts. It's been recorded, but it's not released yet. That's one of the things we were talking about is learning that we were very similar in the like learning about 90% of the song, note for note, and then saving that 10% for, whether it be me throwing in my little bit of spiciness or, like you said, maybe not throwing that spiciness in and
Yeah,
just kind of letting that moment be the moment and not necessarily because when those people record those songs live. I mean, like, obviously, I've experienced, getting to do that. Just because you play it a certain way on the record doesn't mean that's how you play it when you play live. It just
totally.
doesn't happen. It
Yeah,
happens different all the time. They're going to play little things here or there differently. Uh, and so to me, I feel like it's learning that basic skeleton of the song, but then also leaving room for, because you might be playing with a drummer who learned the kick pattern a little bit differently,
right.
and so if you want to lock in with them, you can't play exactly the way you were going to. You need to modify to follow them.
Which is
And
why I
so,
start with the structure first and go
right.
like, because you don't know, you show up and
Yep.
maybe you have an MD, like I'm blessed to not have one, but that does this, but maybe you have an MD who babysits every single chord, right?
Sure.
And you're like, all right, well, I can't deviate now. Or maybe you
Yeah.
show up and you think in your mind, like, this is the way the drummer's going to do it. And then they do something totally
Right.
different that doesn't
Yeah.
work with what you were planning. If you
Yeah.
don't have that foundational understanding of where the song's at, then it kind of limits you or becomes a bit of a train wreck and you're starting to step on each other throughout the
Yes.
song, which is
Well, I can't tell you how many times I've, like Jeremy, really great drummer at our church, and how many times, like after the song's over with, immediately I'm taking my in ears out and I'm walking over and I'm like, hey, what are you going to actually be doing on that last chorus? I was like, what are you going to be doing for a kick pattern?
yeah,
And he's like, and typically he's like, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm doing like three different things there. And he said, here's what I'll do. And he'll kind of just with his hand, kind of tell me exactly what he's going to do. And so then that way we're both on the same page. But that's probably nothing like what the record was.
totally.
It's just what we together are
Well,
are ironing out.
and the same thing happened to me this past Sunday. We were playing a song, and after the song was over, I looked at the drummer. His name is Aaron Ford. Fantastic drummer. I mean, I'm not kidding. Like, I'm okay-ish, but like, there's benefits to being the worst musician in the planning center group, right? Because expectations are super
Yeah,
low,
exactly.
and but you get to play with a lot of fantastic guys. And I was like, Aaron, I was like, dude, during that bridge, like right before we go into the big chorus, is that the drum fill that you're going to do? Because if you do that, I'm not going to do what I did. And he was like, I default to you, bro. And I'm like, well,
You
I was like,
decide.
you can do that, but I'm like, I'm following you, man. Like,
Right,
whatever. He was like, just
exactly.
do what you did and it'll be fine. And I'm like, okay, great. But yeah, you got to have those, you got to be able to talk that out
Yeah.
with people and have the awareness, right?
Yeah.
Because I think that, I'll go back to the Calvary Chapel thing. That one thing that they did that I think is really important for worship musicians to kind of understand, is that we would play through, like, as soon as the service was over, the very first thing that we would do, everybody would leave the stage. We would wait for the person leading the prayer to come down. And then we would circle up as a group and we would do a time called Give It Back, right? And it was two different aspects of it, right? On one side, it's like, look, if you feel like you nailed it and you should be like on the cover of Worship Leader magazine, that's ego. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, if you messed it up, if you made a mistake and you're like sitting there hovering over that and like beating yourself, that's also ego. And so what we
That's
need to do right
amazing. I love
now
that.
is we need to say there's no space for ego in worship music,
I
right?
love
We
that.
need to give that back. We need to eliminate that and just give it to God, because that's why we're here, right? And so when I say, hey, there's no room for ego, it's the same thing. Like, if you're a musician and you're playing in worship and you're like sitting there like, we're we're playing this CC Winan song and it took me like 5 days to figure out this lick and I'm playing it,
And
dang it.
now,
And
yeah.
then you get there and you're like, this is not gonna fit. You
Right.
can't muscle it in. You gotta go, what does this moment have
Yes.
that I can either add to or subtract from? But it's not about me. It's not about my playmanship. It's not about what I can show.
Right.
It's about how can I service this song so that it is distraction free and it's leading the moment and it's ushering in the Holy Spirit as
Yeah.
we worship, instead of
Yes.
like, look at me, dude. I can
Yeah.
wail. You're
I
like,
can we can do all these hits
yeah,
together.
yeah, sick. So anyway,
Which
I
there's
didn't.
plenty of time for those things. There's going
Yeah,
to be opportunities for
there
those,
is, there is.
Yeah.
So
So you just have to live for those moments when you do get them, and when they're not there, that's okay, cuz again, like you said, you're serving that moment, serving the song. That's
totally.
why I say it all the time, and I'll say it till I'm dead, is Adam Clayton just, to me, is
I was
like
waiting for
the
him to come up.
poster child for like
Yeah,
what you should do for worship.
yeah,
Because if you listen to that stuff and you hear what the Edge is doing, he is so all over the place, but Adam is just so consistent,
yeah,
and he's hitting notes that are in time with like the toms, with the kick, and it's just so syncopated and it's perfectly thought out. And when you really narrow it down and listen to what he's doing with the drums, then it makes a lot of sense, because then you hear vocals and guitars and you're like, oh wow, they're doing so much.
yeah,
What he's doing is serving the song, you
yeah.
know?
Because if you're in just musically, people prefer that, right?
Yeah,
I
right.
I played at one church, and again, I will always be in the bullpen, right? I'm never the starter, right? And the guy who's there, phenomenal, can literally do like, math music. I don't even know what, and then I come in with my little P bass, and actually I don't know how I convinced him, but I had like this Ashdown like CTM 100. It's like a 100-watt bass amp, and I'm like, I don't have a DI, so I'm just gonna plug it in the back of this, and you just
Yeah.
play with it. And I'm just like trying to do my best Adam Clayton.
Yeah.
Just do what he does. Simple,
Right.
and just make the bass sound like a bass.
Yeah.
And it's nothing super exciting. Like I'm not, but that's not why I'm there.
Right.
And then people will be like, bro, can I just tell you, like, bass sounded good today.
Right.
And I'm like,
well,
it sounds good every week, but
yes.
odd that you prefer this.
Yeah.
Just the simplicity of
yeah.
just
well,
bass.
Honestly, it made me realize, let me focus more on my right hand technique, on how I'm plucking that note.
Totally.
Being more consistent to where I'm not like completely relying on my compressor to do everything for me. Like you can still pluck an even note, especially if you don't have a ton of compression on your bass anyway. There's still a little bit of room for the note to sound bigger or softer.
Yeah.
And so just that right hand technique can make a note sound bigger or smaller,
Yeah.
It's just it
It
really
just
is.
even where you place it on the strings, right?
Yeah.
So, I
Yep.
mean, even I remember before I had any kind of like effects pedals, I had figured out that like if you hit the note with your finger 12 frets above the note that you're playing, you get a there's like this sub
Yeah.
octave level thing that comes through, right? And so like
Yep.
we'll come up to like that. Now I've got a pedal for that, but
Right.
before that it was just like, hey, we're coming up to the spot where I just feel like it just needs to be low, smooth, mellow, like booms. And so I'll just move my finger over. I'm playing on like the 12th fret or the 14th fret, just
Yep.
big wide open notes. And it just,
Yeah.
people are like, bro, what pedal is that? And I'm like,
I know.
it's
like,
not
no
a pedal,
pedals.
bro. It's just where
It's
you put
all
your
right
finger.
here.
It's like the tone is in the fingers, man.
I love that. That's so awesome. It's true though. Like for anybody who's out there listening who's not tried it, if you fret on the G and then find where the G is on that same, above the 12th fret there, and you pluck at that spot, it really does almost give like an octave-ish kind of sound or tone. And when you're playing in a room that has some pretty good speakers in it and you hit that, it really makes it sound deep and big.
The kids
So,
love it.
yes, exactly. Rumble the seats.
That's right.
Well, wanted to quickly get into what a lot of people's favorite part is, and one of my favorites as well, and that is gear talk.
All right.
So,
let's do this.
Yes, time to nerd out. So what is your current bass and what is your current pedal board?
All right. So be prepared to be underwhelmed because I don't have a stable of ponies like you. But I'm a Fender Mustang guy. So I have two Mustangs. They are not from the 60s, like the freebie.
Mine isn't from the 60s either.
Okay, so it's not from the early 70s either.
76.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, mid 70s, whatever. But yeah, I can show you. Hold on, I'll just bring it right
Okay,
here.
yeah.
So this is my Fender Vintera, complete
Nice.
with
I love
no
the white-
knobs.
I love the white pickups.
Yeah,
Covers.
these actually, if I'm gonna geek out, if you really, you've opened up a can of worms here. So I always wanted white pickups on this, and of course, when I bought this, guess what was not available? white pickups. And
Yeah.
so what I figured out is that the Ventera bass is made to vintage spec. And so
Right.
in the 80s, they had this bass called the Bullet bass that had these exact. And so I went on a Reverb, and some guy
Oh,
was selling his white pickups from an old Bullet bass, and I just plugged those in there.
interesting.
Yeah, I've changed this bass quite a bit. I got some Curtis Novak pickups in this, and then some D920, just like 500K pots, and then
Nice.
I sanded down the back of it just to smooth things
Yes.
out, but
Oh,
because
heck
not
yeah.
everybody can afford a custom bass.
Well,
Just saying.
here, I'll get my
You're
since you love Mustangs, I'll get my Mustang real quick.
Yeah,
And
I love that thing, man. Look at that natural wood, that maple neck.
yeah, dude, I don't know how you can see the little bit of buckle rash there from my
More the
buckle.
merrier. That's what I say.
It's got the stripe on the back
Yeah,
and
yeah, those.
everything's original on it except for the pick guard.
Yeah,
Uh, the pick guard was actually originally white, and I just always loved how the natural with the black looked.
yeah,
So I went online and found an actual 1976,
fantastic.
and it was like $25. This
How
guy
do you
was
not play
selling it.
that every Sunday? That's what I regret.
Honestly, it really needs some setup work
Well,
done.
you're not too far from here. I'll come pick it up. I'll set
And
it
then you'll
up, and
take
then
care of it
I'll
for
just
me.
take care of it for you.
What I need to do is take it to David Paleo of Paleo Guitars.
And it'd be like,
Uh,
I didn't make this, but I'll fix it up for you. Yeah.
well, he actually, I don't know if you follow him on Instagram at all, but he does full setups and everything because he builds guitars, which is who built my jazz bass that I play. He is part of the whole Bethel,
Yeah.
uh, played electric guitar for them for years. He's playing with Josh Baldwin now, but they moved to Franklin, Tennessee. So he's got a little shop right inside his house. And so works out of that, building guitars, wires up pedal boards too, and all of that. So,
I need him to make me like an ode to the Fender Bass 5, which are you
ooh,
familiar with
yeah.
that?
No, I can't.
It's basically like it's stupid, but I would change it a little bit. It's basically a Mustang bass, but 5-string, and they only made 200 of them.
Huh.
Now the 5th string is a C; it's not a B, so it's like on the
Oh, so
higher
it's a
end.
higher. Okay.
But I would change it and
Yeah.
make it like B, right?
Dude, Bluesman has been doing it's basically a P bass with a Mustang neck on it. And it's a 5-string, and he's been doing Thunderbird pickups in it,
Right on.
which is sounds pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But I think that they have been talking about doing a Mustang, like Mustang bass, and possibly even a 5-string Mustang. So
Yeah. That's
that'd be
sick.
awesome.
Um, my other bass is another Mustang. So
Mm,
this is just like your like Fender player. I'll hold it up
yeah.
here.
Oh, I love
Um,
that gold pick guard.
yeah, so I modded this one pretty significantly. Like it was just a PJ, but not like with the Mustang bass. And so I I had it because I put the Novaks in that one. I had an extra set laying around, and then I had this like single
Yeah.
pick guard that I had ordered from a guy named. Well, his company's called Quick Guards down in Florida. I was like, "Can you just make this?" And he's like, "Sure." And
That's
it's
amazing.
pretty good. It used
Are
to
those
have that.
flat wounds?
Yeah, yeah. They got the Labella deep talking bass on
Nice.
these guys. Love
That's
those.
that's
They're
awesome.
not the right size for this, but they work. Um, and because they're made for like a string through body, and this is like a top load. Um, I put in concentric pots because it used to
Yeah.
have that little 3-way toggle that was really
Yes.
annoying, and
Yeah.
so I got the consent. So it's volume,
That's
volume,
perfect.
tone, tone.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like my give me a good mid-tempo song, and I'm like, let me get the buttery flats out. And so
Heck yeah.
Mustang bass number 2. And then finally, you asked me. I'm sorry, I'm off screen talking. You asked me about
You're
my pedal
good.
board, and I have made my pedal board super tiny. It's no longer a board; it's just a single pedal.
I love
Um,
it.
yeah. So I- it, I go back and forth. I used to have like my pedal board used to consist of a Cali 76, a DCX bass. I had the Dark Glass Kamos, which is like a really good like Amos Heller's octave
Yeah.
pedal, really good. And then just finished it off with a sushi box finally, like V2 or whatever. Just
Yeah.
you just couldn't like the tone was it, right? But of
Right.
course, I'm such a nerd, and I was like, "Oh, that's like such a small pedal board. I wish like maybe how can I fit like a fuzz pedal because I would love to go like." And I kind of faked it with the Camos because it had like distortion and octave. And I'm like, all right, I can get some pretty buzzy like synth sounds for when we're
Yeah.
like Phil Wickhaming it or something.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, if I had like a little chorus and like fuzz octave chorus will
And
really
then, of
take it to another
course,
level.
Ian Martin Allison doesn't help by getting on and doing all these amazing sounds and
Yeah.
making you go, ugh.
And I'm like, well, I can't, there's never going to be a pedal board big enough to satisfy what I want to do.
You'll have one
And then,
like a guitarist on Sundays,
yeah.
that's
And so then Dark Glass came out with the Anagram, which is a multi-effects pedal.
yeah.
Half of me was like, I'm crushed because now I'm entering like this digital realm and I am such a like analog
Analog.
snob.
Yeah.
But then the other half of me was like, okay, really? My kids tell me all the time, nobody cares. Uh, Nobody can hear you. And just get over it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. So, although I will say that one time, somebody commented on the nuances of my tone, and I was like, you see me. But
Yes,
anyway, it was
I
just
was
once.
heard.
How does you, you, you caught that tube
That one
overdriven
little
sound that I was going for on that one song?
uh
Fantastic. Anyway, so I got over myself and I was like, look, every pedal I can ever want is already contained in here. They created a platform that enables NAM profiling. So I liked the DCX bass. Cool. I'll go to Tone Hunt 3000, find somebody who's modeled or like
yeah.
captured that, and it's in there. I want to get, a B15 sound. Somebody's done a tone capture of B15.
Yeah.
It's in there, like whatever
That's
I want.
amazing.
And so they come out with like a lot of cool stuff. It actually is helpful because, you can you can really part of my problem with a lot of the only fuzz pedal that I've found that I is like workable for me is actually the JHS Crimson on
Hmm.
bass. If dialed in properly, you don't lose that low end. But even bass pedals that are designed specifically for bass, I always found myself just getting like, just where'd you go, Josh? I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And so it's
Yep.
probably just user error, but at least on this, you can, I mean, they just came out with this plugin, um, and I can't remember the name of it, but I downloaded it. And basically what you can do is it separates your low frequency, your mids, and your highs. And
Huh.
for each frequency, you can determine the level of compression. You can choose
Oh,
which distortion
wow.
circuit. You can choose the level and everything. And then you can even solo it. So like I'm dialing in the low end, I hit the solo button, the mids and the highs go away. I'm just listening to this frequency and go, yeah, that sounds about
Incredible.
right. And then you move on to the next one. So you can like
Nice. That's
totally
incredible.
control where you're at.
Yeah.
And what's
I
great
love
is
that.
it brings in the essence of a lot of like the 3 octave drivers that are in the Dark Glass Camos are in this. And there's one in particular called the Sub Lemon, I think, that is just fantastic. You pull out all the clean and use just the sub, and any worship song you're playing, even if it's the intro and it's just the first note, you just hit that sub note, and it's just like foundationally, everybody's like,
What?
bro. And then you stop.
Almost like you're playing a Moog.
Exactly. And so then you're just like, all right, turn the tracks off because I got that part covered now,
Yeah.
right? So the dark blast, I'll just show it, this is not a sponsored promo. I sold all my gear to buy this. But it is it's basically like a giant iPhone.
Yeah.
It's got some really great, so you can run stereo. So like
Nice.
your any chorus or reverb, they have stereo options, so you can run it as stereo. It's got MIDI, and then it's Bluetooth enabled too. So like if I want to practice, I just connect my phone to it. I can play the song. I can hear everything.
Nice.
It's a great tool. Although I will say, these pedals are pretty close to each other, or these little knobs here, and like you see the up or down. This will scroll you through the different blocks
Settings or
that you've
whatever.
put
Yeah.
together. Use with caution. So I was playing at the big church. We're in like the classical service, and I was using my awesome sublemon like sub octave just to like, we're
Yeah.
easing into this, and then we're gonna play like Come Thou Fount or something, and I'm just like, this is like the oldest
Just this
population,
fluffy
right?
pillow.
And so as I moved over to my clean tone, I accidentally hit both at the same time and scrolled to Alpha Omega Doom Fuzz. And I was like,
Worship fail.
this is going to change the vibe of Come Thou Fount to a degree that you will not believe. But thankfully I caught it in time. It was like panic switching back to clean tone.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, you pretty much sold me on that, so I guess I'm gonna have to.
It has an effects loop, so you can keep all your boutique $1 million pedals and run it in there.
Actually, I don't have a ton
You're
of
like,
pedals like I
stop
used
outing
to.
me in front of my wife. I told her that they gave them to me.
Yeah.
They gave them.
No, I'm in like a cycle. It's like buy something. I bought something years ago, and then it's like I sell all of it and then buy something else. It's just like the same money, just recycling.
Totally. This has been paid for with money from 2007. You know what I mean? It's like I buy this,
Right.
sell it, buy this. Inevitably, there's something that gets away from me, and you're like, should have kept that one.
Yeah, exactly.
But
I actually just recently picked up a quad cortex, so I'm going to see how. I was very interested in checking it out. Just one of the other guys that I had on, that's what he uses exclusively. And so as I was reading into it, I was just like, this really seems cool. Like I could just have that and that's it. Very similar to like what you're saying.
Yeah.
And it has that capturing process on it. So I was like, you know what? I might just try and capture my whole board onto there and see if I can get it dialed in. If so, I'll just, but the big thing that I was just like freaking out over was how you can have a stomp on there and it's I'm drawing a blank on what the word is, but basically tune you down half a step, almost like how a keyboard does.
This has that too.
Does it? That's sick.
It's a pitch shift, and so you can choose like, I want to go one semitone, two semitones, whatever you want.
Dude, that's incredible because so many times we'll be playing in like B flat, and for that 4 to be an E flat, there is no good E flat note on the bass. Period.
I know. So when I was living in Grass Valley, our worship leader was a guy named Grayson Kucinich. Fantastic worship leader, wonderful singer, but his zone is like E flat. every Sunday it was like, "Hey guys, here's the set. It's all
E
E
flat.
flat." And I was like, "Dude, you're killing me." And
That's when
so
you just tune down to E
that's what I
flat.
did. So my
Yeah.
bass for the time we were there, it was all just half a step down
Yeah.
every note. And I'm like, fine, if this is the game we're gonna
Yeah.
play, we're gonna be in E flat. But now I can just push a button,
That's incredible though.
cooking with
I did
gas.
not know that that was an option out there. I had no
Yeah.
clue.
Yeah.
And cuz like at camp this past year, I took two basses for that exact reason cuz I was like I'm not going to keep tuning from standard to E flat,
Yeah.
for these two or three songs that we're doing in B flat.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll just have the extra guitar and I'll have it right there and I'll just real quick swap and boom, go. And so I was like, that just blew my mind. The fact that you
Yeah.
could do that. I mean, it's essentially like, you think about it, like what keys players can do the exact same thing. It's just, that's amazing. I love that. Uh, Before we close out, I have to do my favorite part, what is becoming my favorite part, and that is the rapid fire section.
Do it.
Uh, and sometimes it's not as rapid fire, I guess, because we're like reloading or whatever. But I I've been loving doing this. I've been saving the exact same song questions for everybody, and so I was talking to the last person. I think what I'm going to do is go through and write down and like save up the answers after 1 year, and then like come on and read it, and
Yeah.
just to kind of see, since there's a lot of different opinions on these. So here we go. Rapid fire,
Rapid
flats or
fire.
rounds?
Flats.
Flats. What's your favorite flat of choice?
Labella, deep talking bass. No questions.
Nice.
No
Do you,
hesitation move.
yeah, the labellas are to me the best. What about, have you tried the
The
low
Stangs.
tension? The
Yeah,
low,
I had some. I don't have the bass anymore, but I did have low tension flats on like a Japanese SG knockoff bass that I
okay.
had picked up. They were good.
Yeah.
But I don't. I like the gauging of the deep talking bass. I'm curious about the Stangs. So like Labella has a new set called the
Yeah, that's
Stangs.
right.
They have like a high polish flat now that has a little
Yeah, they
bite.
also have just a regular it's one of their, regular lines. It's because it's like the letters for it is like MUS
Yeah,
for just a classic labella flats, and I've
correct.
used those. And what's great is they're the correct length,
Right.
because
Which
it's
is
so hard to find
it
the right
is.
length. It's
Which is why,
ridiculous.
so for those eagle-eyed folks out there who, when I was showing my white Mustang, I said, "Oh, the string length isn't correct." Those are the 760 MUS or whatever it is, the for
Okay.
the string through body. But I had this thought, usually, so two Mustangs, one has rounds, one has flats, just so I
Yeah.
can have some versatility.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, the flats were on the darker bass, like the vintage correct one with the
Mm-hmm.
string through. And that's sounded really great, but actually rounds sound fantastic on that. And
That's
so
awesome.
I was like, well, let me just flip flop these and see what it sounds like. Maybe I can clean some stuff up with that J pickup on
Yeah,
the PJ. And it's really great. So
that's
maybe
awesome.
maybe I'll save my pennies and buy like an actual set that fits properly. But it
Well, what's
works.
funny is, years ago I had JMJ,
Yeah.
uh, and there was the teal one when kind of around the time when they first came out. And when you buy it, it has a set of the normal Fender flats on it,
Yeah,
like
long
the normal
scale,
length,
yeah.
not a short scale,
That would drive me
flats on it.
nuts.
And it, like, you can see the part of the string,
Yeah.
like the metal part wrapped around the tuner. And I was like, wait, what? I thought this thing would have like regular
Here's
like
how much of
size
a nerd I
flats.
am. I turn my nose at that because also the what is it? It's like the string silk or whatever,
Yeah.
because it's not right. It's not. I was in the Marine Corps. Everything's got to be covered in a line, like the string, the neon or whatever, the
Right.
teal blue. It was like this is a mess.
Yeah.
We can't, this shall not stand,
Yes,
man.
exactly. I love it. Okay, keeping on with rapid fire. P bass or jazz bass?
P bass.
I love it. I go back and forth all the time. I mean, P bass is, I would say, is probably my home, but lately I've been digging jazz bass. So,
Yeah. I mean, Leo
desert.
Fender invented the electric bass. I know it's controversial. Some dude in Washington made
No, I
electric,
love it.
whatever. But whenever he invented it, it was the precision bass. Now it had that, whatever. Say what you will.
Yes.
The P bass is perfect. This is why
Yes,
it
it
hasn't
is.
changed
I love
its
that
inception.
meme out there where they show the picture of the P bass in the 1950s all the way to now, and
Yeah.
then they'll show a picture of the very first cell phone. I mean, not cell phone, but very first phone, all the way up to what is cell phones now, and it's like, here's the P bass from 1950 all the way to now, has not changed.
That's
Look at the
because it's
cell
the
phone.
best. Yes,
No need to change anything. It's perfection.
exactly.
Love it. Rapid fire, your desert island pedal.
It's the anagram.
Yeah.
Assuming they've got an outlet there.
Yeah. And Wi-Fi, right?
Yeah. You don't need Wi-Fi, but yeah.
Favorite bass player, and it can be worship or not.
Favorite bass player. It's a 3-way tie between Colin Greenwood, Guy Berryman from Coldplay, and then I'm blanking. The U2 guy. What is his name? I forgot.
Oh, Adam Clayton.
Adam
Yeah,
Clayton.
we just said
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah.
I know we just said it. So the reason
You're
we
good.
just talked about it, but yeah, those three I think are
Yeah.
hands down.
I know. Yeah, you can't get much better. Thing I always loved about Colin is his risk taking with creative sounds, like fuzzes, all of that.
And also musically, he'll like, something that he's talked about is like flirting with the one throughout the song. So instead of hitting it, he'll just kind of like flirt with it until the song really comes to a resolution, and then he'll start hitting it. And it just
That's
like
awesome.
kind of changes. It like creates almost like this anticipation or this dissonance throughout the song. And then when it resolves, it's like, okay, here we are.
Yeah.
I love
that. That's awesome. Favorite coffee of choice?
Black. That's not an option. I know you were expecting me to be like,
no, I
took a blue bottle.
Well,
secret
I
squirrel
expected you to put as much nerdism into coffee as you do with the gear.
Maybe once upon a time, but now I'm just like, look, I'm not like, give me Folgers or something like that.
Right.
But in a pinch, just give me a cup of black coffee. You know, that's all I want.
I love it. Do you have like a favorite coffee shop in the area that you go to?
My favorite coffee shop is 15 feet that way. It's
I love it.
Yeah, we have a Breville barista.
Nice.
So it's like the grind and brew situation.
Yeah.
So I'll just make my Americano and
that's my favorite go-to.
Yeah.
Besides, I've also talked about it as I make my dirty chai is what I like to call it. That's one of my favorites. And then lastly, music that you're currently listening to. What's a band, some music that you're listening to right now?
So big Wilco fan. Jeff Tweedy just released kind of a new record, and I've been listening to that. I mean, I actually don't have a lot of time for like just listening to actually, I've gotten to the point now where whenever I'm in my car and I'm, just driving, I usually just, because I got 4 kids, man, I'm like, I just turn the radio off. I'm just going to sit in silence, which is it's the most non-musical response for like a music podcast. But I'm like, what are you listening to right now? Silence.
Well, you talked about how what was it? I lost my train of thought there. I was going to say you talked about how you work from home, so technically you don't really have the a morning commute to necessarily listen to music. So
Yeah.
so I get that. Like for me, I drive about 35-ish minutes both way, there and back. So anyway, uh wrapping things up, just last thing, any advice that you could give to somebody, maybe they're just getting into it, they're just starting to kind of learn things. What's the one piece of advice maybe that you would give to yourself?
Yeah. I think honestly it would be, um first of all, you've made an awesome choice to pursue playing bass. It's an instrument that is foundationally unlike any other instrument, and they will notice if you're not there. But if done well, they probably won't notice that you're there, right? Um, but actually, what I would really say is, just make sure your heart's in the right spot. Like if you're going to get into worship music, I mean, we kind of talked about it earlier, but like start with the heart of worship. Start with like, what am I really here to do? Am I here to glorify myself and be the best bass player on the planet and showcase my skills? If that's where you're starting from, I would encourage you to maybe look in an opposite direction and go,
Right.
really, my job here is to service this song, is to serve, is to be utilize the gifts that God's given me, not in a way that amplifies myself, but amplifies Him. And everything that I do should be in service to that. And I think if you're like a younger guy, you may not understand that, or if you're like, but I think that it'll really kind of shape your approach to bass playing at that point.
Yeah.
And you can really start to come into a space where we can talk about genres or artists or whatever, but when you get into that headspace, every single song is an opportunity to praise and to worship, and it has beauty, and you can feel that, and it's very real. So,
Mm-hmm.
like the encouragement would be like, take it from the world's worst bass player, Josh Summers in Cleveland, Tennessee. Like, trust me, if you can fog up a mirror, you can play bass because I can play bass. But if you spend some time intentionally focused on developing the heart of worship and starting there, all the
Yeah.
things will come into place after that.
Yes. And I just to add on to that, like that's what we are called to do as a worship leader, because everybody on the stage is a worship leader, not just the one person that's leading the group. We're all to get collectively leading worship. And so the best way to lead worship is from the heart
Totally.
first, just like what you're saying there. And so preparing your heart, being in God's word, praying over the lyrics yourself. Uh, there's been many of times where, to me, the times I'm up there and I'm supposed to be serving, that I myself are like, I'm served, on the stage by, by Jesus, by the Lord, like on my own heart, and where He kind of like has met me. And so those opportunities of having that, it's only going to be there if your heart is in that
Totally. You'll you'll
space.
completely miss it.
Yeah,
And then it'll just be
exactly.
like, what are
Like
you
you
doing?
said, if the ego is there, then you're gonna miss the most important and best part. you
100%.
know I love it. Well, that is all the time we got for today.
Yeah. I chewed your ear
And
off. I'm sorry.
No, dude, I love it. I mean, I could literally go for another half hour. However, I know that my family's probably starting to get hungry, and they're probably because they all bunker down in the bedroom so I can have a little bit of quiet. I tried everything in the world to try to find a way to seal off sound. I
Yeah.
bought these like soundproof blankets, did all this stuff. Absolutely nothing worked, which is probably why occasionally you can hear my dog downstairs barking. Uh, so unfortunately, that's how it is. So to help me out, they kind of go into the bedroom, watch something on TV. So
Nice. Well, tell them thank you for loaning you
yes.
to me for this time, because I thoroughly
Yeah.
enjoyed this
Heck
chat.
yeah, me too. I like I've said to everybody, I like these podcasts to just feel like it's a couple of people just going, getting a cup of coffee and just kind of chilling. Like this is the kind of conversation that I feel like we would have if we were sitting in a coffee shop and
Totally.
just hanging out, and that's what kind of what my goal has been for that. So lastly, I know you're on Instagram. Can't remember if is yours public or private?
It's public.
Okay,
All
cool.
20 people who follow me can come
Hey,
over to the Josh Summers
yeah, hey, you
Instagram.
never know.
Tag me
Somebody
up.
might be like, dude, you shared about the anagram. I have a question about this.
Hit me up. Yeah.
I will,
It's a free for all.
yeah, there we go. On YouTube, I will put in the description, I'll put your little link there. So if somebody's looking for it, you can go there on the YouTube. It'll take you right to Josh's Instagram
Yeah.
page. And so you can DM him if you had questions or just follow him because he is the cool bass player that he doesn't think he is.
You can just,
And
or you can tell me how wrong I was about everything. That's fine too.
no, you were right about a lot. And you were funny and it was fun. So that's all I care about. So, and then also if maybe even see some, I know you have a few gear pictures, but it's mostly just fam stuff, which I love. So,
yeah,
but if anybody wants to message you, then they can do that. So
totally.
anyway, cool, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on. You were one of the people that when this first launched, you were, and I just wanted to publicly thank you to all the people the few people that are listening right now. That you were very encouraging from the start to me, and I really appreciated that. It, you know, throwing yourself out there sometimes can be kind of intimidating. What response is it going to be? Is anybody going to even pay attention? But you were very encouraging to me, and I really appreciated that at the time.
Yeah.
And and you've been one of my
And you're
supporters.
doing it. So. Yeah. I love it. Hopefully, I didn't scare off your people. They're like,
this will be perfect.
Everything was great until that Josh guy showed up.
No, like I said, hey, I'm just here to facilitate and hear some good stories. So it's awesome. Cool, man. All right. Well, I will let you get to your family and we'll talk to you later.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
See ya. Welcome back to the Worship Based Coffee Studios. I'm happy to have you back in here. Just wanted to share a little bit about Josh's interview. I really enjoyed that. Besides the fact that both of us are extreme Fender Mustang bass fans, I really appreciated some of his insights as to like the experiences that he's had in different worship teams and kind of how their leadership has looked at things from a different angle. I really, really enjoyed those. Like one of the things that he talked about in his preparation time about how he, instead of just, picking up the bass or listening to the music, how he sees those songs, he goes in and he reads through the lyrics before he even does anything. And that was that was impactful to me. I think even more finding a way that those lyrics can be imprinted onto our hearts before we serve so that those words are even more meaningful to us as we go to lead in worship. So I was really thankful for Josh coming on and for him sharing some of those things. And I hope it was a encouragement to you as well. So anyway, I think that's all the time we got for today. And thank you for listening. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for reaching out to me. That I appreciate that so much. It means a lot to hear from all of you. Again, building this community. And so, as we say with every episode, make sure you tell someone you love them, and we'll see you next time.